Major retailers Costco and Target are seeing some losses today. Costco reported their third quarter earnings results after a market close that missed analysts' expectations. Last quarter, some same-store growth slowed with people spending less. Big-ticket discretionary items such as furniture, small electronics, jewelry, and hardware were down 17% from a year ago. Costco's e-commerce sales also came in lower. Target, meanwhile, saw its stock value take another hit today after dropping more than 12% since anger erupted over the retailer's Pride collection last week. That stock dropped amounts to $9.3 billion in the market value. We're joined now by retail analyst Bruce Winder. Bruce, Costco reported an earnings miss today, and Target saw a drastic drop in its stock price. These retailers typically rake in billions of dollars. So why are they seeing these less than ideal conditions?
Well, what you're seeing right now is the beginning of consumers starting to cut back on discretionary purchases. And it's not really a surprise. You look at what's happened over the last couple of years with interest rates going up last year. And, there's been some job cuts in certain areas, and everyone is talking about potential recessions coming. And consumers, are really sort of becoming super cautious right now. So people still need to buy groceries, they need to buy gasoline, they need to buy some basics, and that's what they're doing. But they're sort of opting out of some of the discretionary items. In some retailers, they're opting out of clothing or home goods or electronics because they bought some of those during the pandemic. So it's a bit of a mixed change, and customers are also pulling back overall on their spending.
In terms of Target, they are the victims of a similar campaign that Bud Light experienced, homophobes harassing them over Pride marketing. Are these marketing decisions actually burning shareholders like people online are claiming?
Well, I think that there's a bit of an odd situation going on right now in the U.S. where a number of folks on the right have really been anti-LGBTQ+, and it's catching some companies off guard. Companies like Target and Bud Light, I think, had good intentions that they want to show support for diversity and inclusion. But with this sort of backlash from these people, it's causing them to change their position, and that's very difficult. Now, in Bud Light, I think that was a big mistake from the beginning for them because their customers they probably skew toward folks who are a little more right wing. So that's probably them not really reading their customer. On the Target front, I'm a little bit disappointed in Target that they kind of climbed down from this at the first chance of resistance. So I'm an ally to many people who are LGBTQ+. So I think this is a big discussion for companies to really look at what role they have in supporting social justice and social cause issues, because it can go either way. And is it their place to support it? And if they're going to support it, they can't back down. You can't sort of, change with the blowing of the wind. You have to be all in, or you're not in, and you got to stay there.
Why do these people have so much power and sway over big businesses when oftentimes governments can't even get them to cooperate on things like cutting down on plastic packaging?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's because probably mostly of social media and of our news. Our news has went from being on paper, 30 years ago or even 10 years ago to being on social, on smartphones. And something can catch fire very quickly. So even if you have a remote sort of far-reaching view on something, it can spread very fast on social media and on places like Twitter. And that creates a bit of a panic for these big companies and their comms teams. The consumer is all empowered. The consumer is in the driver's seat because if you're a brand, it used to be, the retailers were in the driver's seat and the brands, because as a consumer, you could only really shop within, call it 5 or 10 miles of your home. Well, now you can shop from around the world and you can post your positive or negative ratings and reviews. And there's just such an outlet now for customers to voice their concerns, good or bad, and opinions, good or bad. So yeah, the consumer is absolutely in power now of the brands and the retailers.
Thanks so much for joining us, Bruce.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one. Take care.